I want to talk to you about manipulative moves. What's a manipulative move? Well, a manipulative move is when somebody does not want to deal with what it is that you're bringing up, and they do a particular move to move you away from talking about the topic that you brought up. And if you've been in relationships like that, as I have, you know that it's absolutely maddening. It drives you absolutely crazy. It's frustrating. It builds up negative emotions because nothing is ever dealt with, nothing is ever discussed. There's no clearing up of issues, misunderstandings, and so it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and it becomes a very unhealthy relationship. So here are some of the reasons. Sometimes people don't want to be accountable. Sometimes people have a facade up where they have like a ideal persona where they don't want to hear anything bad about themselves because it's overwhelming. So they only want to hear good. They refuse to consider that. Maybe abusive relationships the abuser does not want to know what's going on with you, does not care, does not want to solve problems, does not want to hear your thoughts. People that are really unhealthy, that can't look at themselves, as I said, are people that are not going to want to deal with what you're saying. People that are not being accountable because of an addiction or something else where they're getting away with things, or they're having maybe an affair, or they're lying to you about something, or just people that are immature and unhealthy, just real kind of reactive and critical, or just, all of those things, all kinds of reasons. In fact, probably one of the most common unhealthy things people do is to not deal with what it is people are talking to themselves. It's hard for them for some reason, so they do these things to kind of push it away and protect themselves. Okay, so here's a manipulative move: controls the conversation indirectly so that the person does not have to deal with what you're talking about. They don't want to be honest for whatever reason. They're saying to you, I don't want to face the truth. I don't want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to change. I don't want to deal with this. Okay. So instead, they lead you around and around and around on wild goose chases so that you stay away from talking about whatever it is that you brought up. What are some of those manipulative moves? The first one is diversion. Very common. Person gets you onto another topic off of the one you're talking about. Okay. So they divert you. Divert means it's like a road closure where you have to be diverted on a different road to get where you want to go. So you're going here, you can't go here, you're diverted around here. So you want to go here in the conversation, the person doesn't want you to go there, so they divert you over here. And now you're talking about something else. Instead of talking about what this person did this morning, you're talking about what you did last year, right? And that's a diversion. Next one, projection. The person accuses you of doing what they're doing. You say, I think you're being unfaithful. And the person says, I think you're being unfaithful. I think you weren't honest with me. Well, you're never honest with me. So they just project it back onto you. Projection is like a screen where you see a movie. The movie is projected onto the screen. So you bring something up to that person and they just project it right back onto you and say, nope, you're doing it. And then all you do is have this argument. You're doing it, you're doing it, you're doing it, you're doing it. Where do you get? Nowhere. Why? That's the purpose of the manipulative move, is to get you nowhere. You're not talking about the other person doing what you brought up. Third one, rationalization. The person kind of admits it, but rationalize it. Well, of course I'm doing that. I don't have any choice. Or you make me. Or it's not that big of a deal. Or I've only done it once. Or whatever it is. Rationalizing, making an excuse for it to where it kind of takes away your power because they're not dealing with it as a problem. Next one is lying. The person out and out either denies doing it or makes up some kind of lie about it. And lying is a diversion or a manipulative mood because it's not dealing with what you brought up. The lie covers it up and the conversation is what? Over, because the lie stops it. Next one is ignorance. The person pretends not to understand. I don't know what you're talking about. Pretends not to understand what it is you're bringing up. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't remember that. I don't have a clue what it is. I don't remember that happening at all. And then you're kind of like stuck. Where else do you go after that? If the person says they don't remember it and they don't understand what you're saying, you can keep talking, but as long as they keep saying, I don't know, it doesn't make sense, I don't understand it, you can't get the person to be accountable. And then the next one is acting. And the acting is when the person pretends to be a certain way when they're really not. They pretend to be empathetic, they pretend to be caring, they pretend to be concerned, but it's all a facade. It's not true, and the person walks away without ever having dealt with any of that. Okay, so it's just completely acting. It's all a facade, and I'm sure there's times where that's also happened. So let me remind you again, here are some manipulative moves that people make when they don't want to talk about what you're bringing up. Diversion, they divert you to something else. Projection, they accuse you of the same thing. Rationalizing, they excuse what they're doing as no big deal, okay, or having to happen. Lying, they out and out lie about it. They act like they don't understand what you're talking about. And then the last one is they act a certain way to make you think they care or that they're concerned, but they're really not. Okay, so when people do manipulative moves, it's very frustrating. How can you respond? Only one way. Refuse to let any of those things sidetrack you. Stick to the subject, stick to the conversation, stick to the topic, don't let go of it, and keep saying, I know, but I need to deal with this. We need to deal with this, but I need to talk about this. I know, but, and just keep saying it. If a person's super manipulative, they absolutely don't want to talk about it. There's nothing you can do. But when you stick to it, you will see clearly what the person is doing, and it will help you to make decisions about the relationship. And also it'll help you know how to interact with the person better because you'll recognize what's going on. So, okay, thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship. I hope that you will watch more. And I hope that this video on manipulative moves is helpful to you. Thank you.